Good morning, friends. Today we are starting our first class on our poetry section. The first one is Sonnet 29. I am sure that you are now familiar with the poem as you have discussed all the themes and critical appreciations of the poem in our group. Just let me add some more points that will be helpful for you to understand the poem or appreciate the poem better. Okay, let me give you an introduction on Shakespeare. The record says that the available record says that he is born on 1564 April 23rd and died on 1616 on the same date April 23rd, and slight variations are there. Some says it is on 26, but 23rd April born and died on the same date, it is accepted by everyone. Okay, most of the people, not everyone, most of the people. He has written 37 plays himself, and in collaboration with other writers he has written 39, and he has written 154 sonnets, and this sonnet number 29 that we have been prescribed to study is included in the first collection of his sonnet sequence published in 1609. See, these dates are important. Okay, and there is a speciality or peculiarity for this sonnets that is published in 1609. The whole sonnets were dedicated to Mr. W.H. and his identity is unknown. Critics says that Mr. W.H. is his patron, the name of his patron, Henry Wriothesley. I will show you the picture. Yeah, this is Henry Wriothesley, 3rd Earl of Southampton, and he is the patron of Shakespeare. It has been said that Shakespeare got homosexual relationship with his patron, and he is in love with this person, and he has addressed most of his poems to this Henry. So that's what critics says. When we goes through the poem, he is addressing his lover as this man. The first 18 poems on this publication, that is among the 154 poems, the first 18 sonnets were addressed to the dark lady, and her identity also unknown to us. The rest of the poem is dedicated to, as I told you, Mr. W.H. See, to talk about Shakespeare's personal life, he has married at the age of 18. Okay, to Annie Hathaway. Annie Hathaway, she is 26 years older than him. And to say is peculiar that she was pregnant at that time. Shakespeare was an actor at Lord Chamberlain's Men. This is the name of the theatre or the playing company that he worked for. He has wrote most of his plays, and he became an actor there. See, let us come to the poem. What is sonnet? Sonnet is 14-line poem. It is a small 14-line poem with a peculiar theme, talking about a peculiar theme within 14 lines. There are two types of sonnets: Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet. an English sonnet or Elizabethan sonnet or Shakespearean sonnet. Okay. So Italian or Petrarchan sonnet, it is split into two parts: octave 8 lines and sestus 6 lines. So altogether 14. So how are you going to identify between Italian sonnet and English sonnet? Italian sonnet will be divided into octave and sestus. First 8 lines, then 6 lines. Then English or Elizabethan or Shakespearean sonnet will be 3 quatrains, then a couplet. 3 quatrains, I will tell you. There is 4 line stanzas, just like a rhyme scheme AB. Then next stanza quatrain will be CD. The next quatrain EF. Last there will be a couplet, 2 lines ending with rhyme scheme GG. So this is some more points about Elizabethan sonnet. This Elizabethan sonnet is celebrated by Shakespeare, and it is divided into as I told you 4 lines called quatrains, and along with a final 2 line couplet. An Elizabethan poem usually saves it is volta. Volta means turn. First if you have noticed it or not, I don't know. First 4 stanzas he is talking about his problems, his complaints, his state of mind. Then third one, there is a turn, there is a volta. He finds relaxation. There is a transition or change in his thought, and this is called volta or turn in thought. And ending the final couplet, you might have noticed that he the last 2 lines of the poem is comforting for him. He finds comfort in Almighty or in his lover or someone he loves, someone his devotion goes on. So there he finds consolation. The 2 lines or the last 2 couplets will be last couplet will be 2 lines will be finding a consolation, a resolution, a solution for the problem that explained in the first 2 stanzas. The first 2 quatrains will be talking about the problem. The third one will be discussing, there's a turn in his emotion from the problem to finding out the solution. The last couplet will be finding the solution for the problem. So these are the background information that I can give for this poem. Let us start with the poem. I can't sing, so you can't feel this rhyme scheme while I am reading out the poem. Some of you might be expert in that. Okay, we can make use of them. Okay, let me read the first line. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. When, so he's talking about his past. When in disgrace, maybe this time or this is not the proper time that he has experienced this emotions. He may be referring to his old days. It is not sure. When in disgrace, but he might have undergone such an situation. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes. What is fortune? His wealth and prosperity. And men's eyes, the eyes of the men, people or the world. I all alone beweep my outcast state. I all alone. He was in isolation, he was in alienation, beweep, lamenting over or crying upon my outcast state. What is outcast? If someone away from a group, someone away from his identity, away from his the common identity. You might have heard about some outcast people, okay, outcast state. So now he is crying over, lamenting over his outcast state, his outcast condition. And troubled of heaven with my bootless cries. And what he can do now only, he can only do troubling the deaf heaven. What is deaf heaven? The heaven. He may be referring to Almighty. He's not giving replies to his pathos, his cries, his prayers. So still he's troubling by crying on and troubling the deaf heaven with my bootless cries. He's crying over this, his problem. He's in a complaints, his cries, his prayers, that he mean to deaf the heaven, by hearing all these noises, his cries, his complaints, even the heaven will become deaf. So that much he might have cried over that. His lament was, and look upon myself and curse my fate. He's speculating himself, and look upon myself and curse my fate. It may be referring to his old time. There was a time in his English theatre period, there all the theatres were closed due to some political reasons. So he might have undergone poverty, financial crisis, and people is not identifying his fame and a lot of problem. Maybe he's referring to that time. So I'm looking upon myself and cursing my fate. Why this all things happen to me like this? Wishing me like to one more rich in hope. So what is the problem with him? Whenever some problems come to us, we'll be crying over that problem, and we'll be thinking of, if I will become like him, he got everything or she got everything, like this. Here too he says like this, wishing me what he want to become, like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with the friends possessed. Here him may be referring to this Mr. WH, his patron. So he want to like him. He was rich in hope. He's he got a lot of friends. He possessed a lot of friends, and desiring this man's art and that man's scope. And it may be referring to other people too. Some people with a lot of artistic quality. Artists will be there. Among our group too, there will be a lot of people with various kinds of artists. Then and that man's scope, a man with a lot of scope, a lot of chances, a man with a lot of capacities, with what I most enjoy, contented least. So he feels jealous to this his patron, to this man whom he loves. Desiring, he want to like that man, this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy, contented least. So he want to become like that man, and want to enjoy like that, and contented least. Content means satisfied, less satisfied. So he is not satisfied with his present state, and he want to become like that man. Yet in these thoughts myself I almost despising. See, there is a change. first two quatrain talking about the problem, yet there's a change in this tone of the poem. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee, and then my state. And these thoughts, happily, yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, so what are his thoughts? His thought that he mentioned in the above lines, what he feels: myself almost despising, contempting, disdain. Despising means disdain or contempt, pucham. Happily I think on thee, when I am think of you, I feel happy. Happily I think on thee. Thee means you. We are undergoing a language that is not familiar for us. Thee, though, happily, you might have noticed some spellings. This is, English in Elizabethan era. As language, it is developing each and every day. Now we are, you know what the spelling or language, English language that we are using in WhatsApp and other things, other medias. It is very different from our textual language. So language is always changing. So this was early modern English. Modern is early modern English. There are Chaucer's period. It starts with Chaucer's period. Even before that, old English that we can't understand even a single line. So come to the poem. Happily I think on thee, and then my state. He is putting a comparison. When I'm thinking of you, and when I'm thinking of my state, my condition, what I feel like. The only figure of speech here he is using in this poem is what? He's comparing himself to a lark, like to the lark at break of day, arising from sullen earth, sings hymns at heaven's gate. When I'm thinking about you and my state, when I'm comparing in between us, what I feel is I'm just like a lark, a bird. What is the specialty with this bird? It can fly in a just rise up in the wind from bottom to up. It can easily fly. So just like a lark at break of day, dawn, early morning. What is the specialty of break of day? We'll be with full of hope, full of purity, that will be full of energy. And there is a hope in this line, like to the lark at break of day. So this lark, the bird, also hope, giving hope us. And in a break of day, you can feel the positive instances. What the bird is doing here, like to the lark at break of day, arising from sullen earth. What is sullen earth? Earth, it can, maybe his present feeling is equated with the sullen earth. The four lines, his complaints, his problems, that may be depicted with this adjective, sullen earth. Here, melancholic earth, the earth with a lot of problems. So from that earth in the morning, how the lark bird is arising to the heaven, just like from the problem, from the state of problem, the speaker of the poem or Shakespeare wants to rise in the morning just like a lark from the problematic earth, problematic world. Singing what? Hymns means prayers at heaven's gate. So in the early stanza, what he was doing, he is deafening the heaven, he is deafening the ears of the heaven with his complaints, his pathos, his problems. When he comes to the last lines, we can see, he's singing hymns, he's praying, so his complaints turning into what? Prayers to God at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings. So what is the reason behind his change or state of mind? Your sweet love, your sweet love remembered such wealth brings. So all what he lost, it can be the wealth of mind, the wealth, prosperity, his position, his identity, his mental state, everything is what bringing with the remembrance of his sweet love. It can be his patron, it may be the love towards God. We don't know what the point intends, but we can give a definition like this also. That then I scorn to change my state with kings. So, the last two lines are giving hope. He's hopeful towards life. That then I scorn, condemn to change my state, my present condition may be state with kings. Kings, with rich, with prosperous life. Always we feel that king is the supreme one who enjoys all the all life with all the luxuries. So I want to change my state with the kings. He want to live such a kingly state of life. This is what I have felt while I was reading this poem, and different meanings are possible, so don't sticking to any single meaning. Give enough reading, and try to read Shakespeare's other sonnets too. It is available on internet, and try to compare this poem with other poems. Then okay, thank you my dears.